Okay, so for this tutorial, what I want to do is create an nCloth just to kind of show you how it works. So as you can see, I've got my outliner open. Um, though it's pretty simple. The first thing you want to do is create a plane. This is actually going to be your cloth, and we want to drag this out a little ways. About right there is perfect. And then what we want to do is create a sphere, and that's a pretty good representation of, let me just drag it up just a little bit more right there. Okay, so now we want to grab our stuff and bring it up above the grid line. About right there is perfect. Okay, then we want to grab our plane and drag it up above the sphere, just right above it. Now on our plane, we want to come over here to the channel box, click on Polyplane 1, and we want to raise the divisions up. So you don't want to go really high because it starts to lag when you're trying to play. So let's keep it about, actually let's just go to 50. And that should give us a really nice smooth surface. Okay. The more subdivisions you have, the more it's going to lag. So you do not want to go up above 50. Besides that, it creates, you got a high poly count after that. So now what we want to do is come up here to nCloth. I don't know if you can see my menu or not, but anyways, come up to nCloth and click on Create nCloth. And as you can see, it created a nucleus and an nCloth in my outliner. So in order to make this work, we now need to make the sphere be a collider. So we come back up to nCloth and we create passive collider. Now what that's going to do is, you can see in the outliner, it created the sphere into rigid. And you can actually go in and add gravity. In fact, what I want to do before I press play is I want to change a few things. So I'm going to come over here to the attribute editor, and I am now on my rigid shape. I can see that it's already set to land on the faces, all that stuff. So I don't think I'm going to mess with anything else in here. You can change the force field, wind field generation, quality settings, all that stuff. I think I'm just going to leave all those the same. I do want to come in here to the nucleus, and I want to go ahead and click on the use plane. What that's going to do is it'll actually, once the cloth wraps around the sphere, if any of the parts do touch the grid, the grid will act like a ground, So it'd be like a cloth falling on the ground. So I'm just going to go ahead and press play so you guys can kind of see what's happening. I'm going to go in here to my main window, and I will zoom that in. And now I'm going to press play. As you can see, it wraps around, then it's going to fall off. It'll hit the floor. And that's basically how to create a nice a nice cloth. But I don't actually want this falling off. I want it to kind of stay on the ball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the play, reset back to frame 1, come back in here to the nCloth, and as you can see, it already selected the nCloth shape. That's exactly what I want. So over here in the presets, you can see that you can change the material to just about anything that you want. Chainmail, and this don't actually give it the look of the material that you're choosing. What it does is it actually sets it up just like it would be in real life. Now I'm wanting this to be more clothy, like silk, so I'm going to replace it with silk. And as you can see, you can read a bunch of stuff down here that it tells you what it is. It's smooth, lightweight, flexible, but not too stretchy, low mass, causes air drag. And this is really important details right here, because this kind of gives you an idea of, okay, well, if it's not going to have any drag or anything like that, what's going to happen? Well, let's play it and see what happens. You can see that it's slowed down, because if you threw silk, a fine silk, up in the air, it would fall really slowly. And this is actually a good thing. This is exactly what I'm wanting. I don't want it falling off or slipping off. So this is a great material for like tablecloths and stuff, because it lays out really nicely. And this is a great start for sculpting. So I'm going to stop it right about, well, actually I'll just let it play out to the end. You can actually come up here and set your settings a little bit higher, give it more frames, and that will, you can see now that my frames are all have adjusted themselves. So let's play it again. Start back from the beginning. Always make sure that you rewind. Okay, so that's looking pretty good right there. Now, some things that you might want to come in here and change, especially once you read this this description down here. And what it's basically telling you to do is there's a lot of things that you can change here in your attributes. The collision effects, you can change this from faces to vertex. You can turn off the self-collide. What that means is that, like these ridges and stuff, they won't be able to interact with each other. So, and that's what'll happen is they'll go through each other instead of actually bouncing off each other. So I'm just going to keep this on faces. You can change, you can add textures, stuff like that. Dynamics. This is something that you might want to play around with. You know, maybe I want this to be a little bit faster. So right now the lift on it is quite high. So I can actually turn that down on the lift. Maybe I don't want it to have a whole lot of drag. I'm going to turn my damp up just a little bit. So now let's play it again. Start over from the beginning and play. You can see now it's moving a little bit faster. It's actually starting to get a little bit more ridges, stuff like that, interacting. And if you don't pause it, what will happen is it'll fall off. That's pretty cool. So now that we've got it to, we kind of figured out how to use some of these attributes. The main thing, the reason I did this whole tutorial was just kind of show you how to, once you get it to kind of where you want it, and like me, I just wanted it into a point where I can actually use it to sculpt. So what I want to do is I want to get it to the setting. I don't want it to go too far, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go frame by frame. So I'm going to step forward one frame at a time until I find it right about where I want it, right where it started to fall off, you can see. Now I can't just freeze the transformations on this and use it in a project. What will happen is if I freeze that, regardless, it'll just keep playing. So I need to make this so it doesn't have the nCloth anymore. And the best way to do that is just click on it and duplicate it. Now, I can drag this over out of the way and I can click play again. And as you can see, the one will continue playing. It'll continue doing what it's doing. But this other one is no longer has any attributes to it. So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to go ahead and delete the old sphere and old nCloth, because all that's attached to each other. So I'm going to delete that out. Oh, I deleted the wrong one. Oops. I don't want to delete the sphere. I want to delete the plane. So the plane, nucleus, nCloth. It's actually better to rename these so you know exactly what they're attached to. So let's go ahead and delete those out. And as you can see, that leaves us the sphere. Well, I actually don't need the sphere either, so I'm just going to delete that out too. Because now all I want is just the plane. But I can actually create a regular ground plane. Maybe I want this to have a wood look to it or whatever. And I can make it a collider. And now I'm going to take my old cloth, I'm going to rotate it, just like that, and that. And now I'm going to create an nCloth again on my plane 2. And as I said before, it's actually a good idea to rename these so you know exactly what they're attached to. So I'm going to call this floor. That's for my plane floor. I know that on my collider I am using it for the floor, so I'm going to call it floor rigid, just so I know what it is. And then my plane, I'm going to call it cloth. And then I know that my cloth nucleus and cloth nCloth. And you can actually group these together. So let's go ahead and do that, just so we know what it is. Maybe we want to save this out for later. So let's go ahead and group those. We'll call that floor. Let's group these together. Oops. Cloth. Okay, so now we press play. And as you can see, it falls. and it'll completely flatten itself out too. It's pretty cool actually. And the more frames you have, it'll eventually completely unfold itself and flatten completely on the ground. It's pretty cool. So what I want to do is I just want to get it down right about there, and now I'm going to step forward a frame by frame. Actually, I need to go backward. Oh shoot, I messed up. Stop that, go back again. Stop it just right. Ah, shoot, I messed up. Sometimes this is a little bit tricky. Okay, so forward, there we go. Alright, I guess that's about where I had it last time. As you can see, it flattened out on the plane though. So that's right about where I want it. So now if you want to use that, you just make sure, make sure it's highlighted. Just the cloth itself. And duplicate. And now you have a cloth that you can mess around with. And it will always stay that way. So you can either save that out or export it out in an object or whatever you want to do. So anyways, that's about it.